get your gear on. We're going into the swamp. We're going to Mandy M. Gunshrakra. Hold on, Gunashekra. Mandy M. Gunashekra. We're going into Mandy's swamp. Ooh, get your hazmat suits ready. We're going into Mandy's swamp. You know her. She's the girl that keeps plugging her book.
I actually have a book coming out called Y'all Fired, A Southern Belle's Guide to Restoring Federalism and Draining the Swamp.
Bitch, did you just plug your book at me?
She's the author of this week's chapter, that chapter being on environmental protection, which is going to be fun because we just read a whole chapter that didn't give a fuck about the environment. So get your gear ready. We're going into Mandy's swamp. If you don't know who she is, she's on Instagram. She was at the Senate hearing plugging her book, Y'all Fired, Southern Belle's Guide to Federalism and Draining the Swamp. So we're going to go drain her swamp right now, and I'm going to go... I hope that her writing is good, because I need something to cleanse my palate. Jesus Christ. So let's get into this. Creating a better environmental tomorrow with clean air, safe water, healthy soil, and thriving communities. Tell that to Flint, Michigan, bitch. The Conservative Environmental Protection, the EPA, will take more supportive role towards local and state efforts, building them up so they may lead in a meaningful fashion. This will include sharing blah, 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 blah. The conservative EPA will track success by measured progress as opposed to the current process, which will convey this progress to the public in clear, current terms and concise terms. True transparency. Okay. You gonna drain your swamp in public? Gosh, girl. Draining the swamp in public? Who are you? The status quo. Not surprisingly, the EPA under the Biden administration has returned to the same top-down approach defined by the Obama administration. There has been a reinstitution of unachievable standards designed to aid in a transition away from politically disfavored industries and technologies toward the Biden administration's preferred alternatives. They're not going to use nuclear energy. Hey, are you going to address civilian nuclear energy? Because civilian nuclear waste. The civilian nuclear waste was an issue in the last episode, and I want to hear what the EPA is going to do about that. I want to hear what your EPA is going to do about that, Mandy. God, this series has gotten so much spicier since the election, because now I can talk to y'all directly and be like, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about this? As a consequence of this approach, we will see closely job-killing regulations that serve to depress the economy, god damn, and grow the bureaucracy, but it does little to address or resolve the complex environmental problems. In some instances, these actions even work to undermine environmental efforts as they push industries overseas and to countries to enforce population control, pollution control, and all that stuff. Compared to the Obama administration, the key difference is that the Biden administration approach is a conceded effort to diminish congressional oversight, a position that the EPA administrator has overshadowed by the creation of multiple climate czars. Oh shit. You gonna be throwback. Some people be acting like the czars of their own department. She's gonna be throwing that around here. Oh god, climate czars. Oh climate czars, why don't you give me funding to save the people today? Lord. Co-opted mission. The EPA has been breeding, girl. The EPA has been a breeding ground of expansion of federal government's influence, control across the economy, enabled agenda, aiming to achieve the agenda by implementing costly policies and otherwise have failed to gain political traction in Congress. I mean, maybe if we had applied sciences, education for sciences, it all fucking links up together. You know what I mean? Like, beyond creating immediate tangible harm to various communities, the EPA has led by activism and disregarded for the law generated the uncertainty of a regulated community. Vendetta-driven enforcement. Vendetta-driven. That has like a note with it. That's probably going to be an author's note at the end of this. Oh, that's going to be fun. There has been a return of fear-based rhetoric within the agency. You said it, not me. Historical role and purpose. For many decades, the rapid industry, the EPA, established in December 2nd, 1970. Oh my God. What is it with the Heritage Foundation in the 70s? I know y'alls were founded in the 70s, but y'all don't need to bring all of it back. Jesus Christ. President Richard Nixon to nationally organize existing piecemeal efforts to clean up and protect the environment. Under Recognition Plan number 3, the EPA has coordinated attack on the populace, which debase the air we breathe and the water we drink and the land that grows our food. Congress followed suit with the landmark Clean Air Act of 1970 and Federal Water Pollution Control of 1972. Subsequent Clean Air Act of amendments of 1990 played a significant role in the expansion of the EPA's responsibilities and legal authority within the agency. Subsequently, through the Obama administration, the EPA has experienced massive growth, which is pursue far-reaching political goals and where current activities or staffing levels exceed congressional mandates and purpose. Is this where Y'all Fired comes in? Y'all Fired? Your book? Y'all Fired. A Southern Belle's Guide to Draining the Swamp. Back to basics. The EPA structure mission has been greatly circumvented to reflect the principles of cooperative federalism and limited government. This will require significant restructuring and streamlining the agency to reflect the following, which are hella bullet points. Let's go through them. State leadership. EPA should Ernst's relationship with the state and local officials to assume more supportive role in sharing resources and expertise, recognizing primary role in making choices of the environment that belongs to people that live in it. Accountable progress, regulatory efforts that should focus on addressing tangible environmental problems with practical, cost-beneficial, affordable solutions, which means cheap solutions, which means they want to spend less money on it. I see you, bitch. Results should be measured and tracked by simple metrics available to the public. Streamlined process. Duplicative, wasteful, and superfluous programs that are not tangibly support the agency's mission should be eliminated. In a structured management program should be designed to assist the state and local governments protecting public health and the environment. Tell that to Flint, bitch. Healthy, thriving communities. EPA should consider to reduce as much possible economic costs and actions as possible to communities to help thrive and prosper, which means they're going to go cheap. Reduce cost as much as possible. That means she wants to go cheap on this. I mean, she's really good at making her chapters sound good to the business oligarchs that want to keep it cheap and the people that want clean air. I see her playing both sides. I see her juggling. She's a really good juggler of words. She's a really good juggler of things. But is she good enough? Is she good enough? Or is she going to be a drama queen? Compliance before enforcement. EPA should foster cooperative relationships with a regulated community, especially in small business, to encourage compliance over enforcement. That's not a bad idea. Transparent science and regulatory analysis. But here's the thing about these bullet points, though. Each bullet point is like one run-on sentence. And these goals are very vague right now. And she's either going to elaborate on them or not. And I just hope she elaborates on them a bit more. But shit, us hoping for shit in this country? It doesn't matter what side you're on. The hopes you have will be dashed as soon as your elected official gets in office. It's just the American way. Hell, it's the way of politics all over the world. Like, y'all ain't new to this. Administrators of transparent science and regulatory analysis should make public commitment to all scientific studies and analysis to support regulatory decision making. Oh, are we gonna be vote? Oh, does that mean you're gonna put environmental issues on the ballot? Like, for real? Like, that would be something else. You actually had environmental issues on the ballot. That would be something. That would be something very fucking interesting. I would love to have a political discussion where we're arguing about the props or propositions that have to do with the environment. I would love those kind of discussions. We aren't having enough of those discussions. Obviously, she's not talking about any of that, but I wish she was. Oh, more bullet points. Yay. Returning environmental justice function to the AO, eliminating standalone Office of Environmental Justice and external civil rights. Bitch, what do external civil rights have to do with the environment? What? Returning enforcement and compliance function to the media offices, air, water, land, emergency management, and eliminating the standalone Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assistance, which has created a mismatch between standard setting and implementation. So you want to get rid of that department. Go figure. This is definitely a preface to your book. Using enforcement to ensure compliance and to achieve objectives. Developing plan for relocating regional offices so that they are more accessible to the areas they serve and deliver cost savings to the American people. That's not a bad idea, but this is a tactic. If the offices are away from where they are, then the federal government can't actually check in on them as regulatory, and they could actually. It's complicated. Again, these things are complicated. This lady, she's something. She knows what she's doing, but at the same time, like, I don't trust her. Relocating the Children's Office, a small disadvantaged business unionization. The AO is reabsorbing those functions into media offices, air, water, land, emergency management, etc. Renewing grant programs to ensure taxpayer funds to organization focus on tangible environmental improvements free from political affiliation. Resetting science advisory boards to expand opportunities of diversity of scientific viewpoints free of potential conflicts of interest. I need you to say that again. Hold up. Resetting science advisory boards. Resetting science advisory boards to expand opportunities for a diversity of scientific viewpoints free of potential conflicts of interest. Wasn't y'all in charge of pandemic management? And wasn't Fauci the only one doing their job? I mean, we had to rely on science then, and y'all obviously didn't fucking listen. We had a diverse number of viewpoints that you didn't listen to, These people, I swear to Bob. Restoring guidance portal and ensure regulatory standards to clear affected entities. Okay, that bullet point and that sentence is very short and very fucking vague. Restoring guidance to portal to ensure regulatory and sub-regulatory standards are clear and affected entities. How am I gonna buy your book if you can't even write complete sentences? My God, the swamp should be your. If we're draining the swamp, then the swamp is your grammar. My God, lady. Working with assistant administrators to implement major reforms in media offices. Day 1 executive order. Initiative to review representation of Day 1 executive order should be drafted. President to explicit language requiring reconsideration of the agency structure to reference fulfilling its mission and better environmental tomorrow, clean air, safe water, blah, 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 blah. What are these bullet points? Day 1 executive order. Okay, this whole fucking book has a laundry list of executive orders, and this lady alone has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a whole page worth of possible executive orders that need to be enacted day 1, which I know for a fact day 1, there ain't enough hours in the day to get all this fucking document done, and I know this for a fact. So major roles in guidance materials. Identify existing rules that stayed unproposed and initiate rule development and appropriate media offices. Pending petitions. Grant new petitions, rule reconsideration, and stays of rules. Stop all grants to advocacy groups, which potential federal investments will lead to tangible environmental improvements. Legal settlements, reassess any sue and settle cases, develop a new policy to establish a standard review oversight, including public notification and participation. Employee review, determine the opportunity to downsize and terminating the newest hires in low value programs that identify opportunities for senior executives. Cut all the new people, keep the senior staff. Sure, bitch. This is draining your swamp.
Draining the swamp.
We draining the swamp. Sorry, I'll be making fun of your book all this fucking episode. I'm sorry, lady. Budget review. Develop a tethered down approach to cut costs and reduce number of full-time positions to eliminate duplicative programs. EPA should not conduct any ongoing plant activity for which there is not a clear current congressional authorization, and it should communicate with the president's first budget request. Okay. I like how in some chapters, like, Congress is, like, the most evil thing in the world. And then in other chapters, like this one, it's like, oh, y'all, federal government, you don't listen to Congress enough. You don't listen to Congress enough. And then when Congress actually does something, guess what? Y'all gonna shut it down. I know this. We just had another election. We have a Democratic House by, like, a thin margin. And I know for a fact that all your kiss-assing to Congress ain't gonna fucking work. She's gonna backpedal on this so fucking fast. Risk management policy. One sentence. Revise guidance, documents, and control regulations and social cost of carbon, discount rates, timing of regulatory review before opinions are selected. Casualty of health effects, low dose of risk examination, no linear threshold analysis, and employment loss analysis. Personnel. Remember what they said before. Personnel is policy. We is policy as the personnel, not y'all. Majority of political appointee team to be assembled, vetted, and ready to deploy before day one. Oh, shit. You mean that's happening now? You deploying your fucking environmental Avengers right now? I thought you were draining the swamp. Make up your mind. Office of Air and Radiation. Ah, here it is. You're going to address radiation. Oh, boy. Cost-cutting reforms. Oh! How are we going to address radiation and nuclear waste pollution, civilian nuclear waste pollution? How are we going to address those things? Cost-cutting reforms. Oh, we're going to cut the cost of all that. We don't need money for that. We just need to put that shit somewhere. An issue a rule to ensure consistent, transparent consideration of costs. When doing cost-benefit analysis, use appropriate discount rates. Focus on benefits reducing public target by Congress to identify co-benefits separately to acknowledge uncertainties involved with quantifying benefits. Okay. Review and revise reasonably available control technology, cost guidance to ensure calculations reflect to air rules implementation and compliance, obey with Congress's decision of CAA 321 to conduct continuing evaluations of employment and plant closure effects and air regulations. Look at these people contradicting themselves. My God. We should re-examine all these sites and maybe close some of them, she says. Whereas the guy from the last chapter is like, open all the nuclear silos. Where are my nukes, bitch? Where are my nukes? This lady has her work cut out for her. My God. She's gonna have a job for 1,000 fucking years if these people gonna be in charge like this. And like I said, it's not just this party that makes its own problems. The other party makes its own problems. You know what I mean? Like, both parties have a habit of making a problem and then not solving it. I feel like this lady is setting herself up to have job security for herself. But, I mean, the rest of us might suffer because, you know, we're cutting costs everywhere. You know, the safety net that we would have is probably going to go away. So we'll fuck around, find out. Air quality standards. Oh my God. Lady, if your book is all bullet points like this, then I'm not buying it. My God. Don't you buy it for me either. Don't you buy me your book. Bitch, are you plugging your book at me? Climate change. Oh. What'd she think about climate change? I bet this section is going to age like milk. Remove greenhouse gas reporting program and any source of category that is not currently being regulated. Overall reporting program imposes significant burdens. Oh, it's a burden on small businesses and companies that aren't being regulated. Oh, these poor companies. Oh, I do declare my Southern Belle charm will help these small businesses and large companies. We should not report our greenhouse gases. No, you don't need to know how much we exhaust into the air. I'm only the Environmental Protection Agency. I can't do any of this by myself. Bitch, I see you. Establish a system within decline to update the 2009 engagement finding. What is the 2009 endangerment? What is the 2009 endangerment finding? I have to look that up. Later. Okay. Establish significant emissions for greenhouse gases. Repeals Biden administration's AIM Act. Refrain granting petitions from refrain from granting petitions from opportunistic manufacturers and add new restrictions that further skew the market towards a market towards equipment. Okay. This lady is a pancake. She is flipping one side and then the other. Like, these regulations are such a burden on these companies, but we should add new regulations to these companies. Without giving specifics, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, lady. I'm sorry. You aren't giving no specifics, and you're doing this on purpose. You're trying to catch me in a gotcha, and it's not gonna work. Is your book like this? My God. Oh. Establish car standards under development of transportation, leadership, properly consider cost, choice, safety, and national security. Review existing rump rate for car standards to ensure that this is actually achievable. Include life cycle emissions and electric vehicles to consider all of their environmental impacts. This is interesting. She wants to study electric cars and electric vehicles to see if there is an environmental impact. And what she will find is that the lithium batteries that charge these cars do have an environmental impact. And that is what she's looking for. She's looking to say, oh, these electric cars, they're all bad. This shit's bad. We gotta ban that shit. So if you have an electric vehicle, be aware. They're probably gonna come after it. You're probably gonna have the last electric vehicle in your town. So have fun. Poor Tesla. Poor Tesla, my ass. Fool, that fool at Tesla, he's probably raking in some government contracts right now to do some shit overseas that we don't know anything about. Reconsider the Cleaner Trucks Initiative to balance goal, driving down emissions without... God, this is how you know this lady's from redneck country. Deregulate the trucks. Let the trucks free. Free the pickup trucks. Oh, Lord. Hair permitting reforms and source review pre-constitution permits. Title 5. Wow, okay. And it's more bullet points. How many... God. This lady... All right, we already know what she wants to do with the air, which is deregulate these machines so they could fuck up the air. So let's go to the Office of Water. Needed reforms. Overreaching theme of reform is guidance on guidance. The overreaching theme on reform is guidance on guidance. Huh? That is a sentence, my God. Who's watching the watchman? Who's watching the watcher? Who's guiding the guidance? Who's guiding the guidance? It's not Ninja Gaiden. You ain't guiding shit. New policies. Make it clear that it is not a navigable water. Respects private property rights. Coordinate with Congress to develop legislation, if necessary, to codify the definition of Rampos versus the United States. Waters of the United States can refer only to relatively permanent standing or continuously flowing bodies of water, as opposed to ordinarily dry channels through which the water is occasionally and intermittently flows. Right? What does that mean? That means that it wants to redefine what is America's water. That only flowing channels, flowing rivers, that is America's water. And then everything else is privatized. Nestle's gonna have a fucking field day, aren't they? they're gonna snatch up dry bodies of water. Boy, that's gonna be fun. Rule to ensure has the CWA section 308 has a clear enforced time limit. Oh, you making deadlines, bitch? You making deadlines on these people? Oof. A rule to clarify the standard of criminal negligence under the CWA sections 402 and 404. Interesting. A rule that provides clarity to Section 401, Water Quality Certification Process, to limit unnecessary delay in needed projects, including establishing a discharge-only approach with limited scope, assessing only water quality factors that are consistent with specific CWA sections, and excluding supplementive analysis regarding future potential harm. What does that mean? That means she wants the process that is used to certify whether your water is good water, clean water. She wants to make it a speedy process, and she wants to take out several rules that are in place to make sure your water is clean, which will lead to dirty ass water. But it's cost effective. Think of the tremendous savings you'll gain. I see you, lady. You gonna put the swamp into my drinking water? What the hell, lady? I thought you were draining the swamp. Rule on updates necessary for CWA needs survey. Rule update commissionary migration of additional blah 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 blah. God. Executive order. Oof. We need another executive order. How many executive orders has this lady laid out? She's requiring the EPA to find avenues to expedite the process for states for obtaining CWA and SDWA programs. This order would require coordination with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Interior. Ooh, these were your Avengers, huh? The Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Interior. Interesting. Implementation of additional policies addresses challenges in water workforce, issues in timely actions, and cybersecurity. These people are obsessed with cybersecurity despite giving us none. Like, ever. Budget personnel, Office of Land and Emergency Management. Needed reforms. Require training, project management, and project managers opposed to staffing all general science background. Wait. Require training in project management and project managers as opposed to all staff having a general scientific background. I'm sorry. I'm going to say what I said like a few videos ago. You don't want the experts in charge? Okay, so you don't want the experts in charge. You just want managerial staff, people who can follow some rules that you lay out. You don't want experts in charge. Got it. You're gonna dirty my water and leave, and I have to call the manager. I'm gonna have to call your fucking manager like a Karen and be like, hey, why is my water fucking brown right now? It's like, oh, sorry, the scientist we had got fired because she's draining the swamp. God damn it. You Federalist Southern Belle, bitch. Why are you firing these people? I will go full blue Karen on a bitch, I swear. Superfund. Oh. Find opportunities to transfer work and funding to states and tribes. Interesting. Oh, I know why she's doing that. Because she wants the tribes to develop their land, just like the motherfuckers in the other chapters. Give us that oil. Give us your resources, they say. Do it for America, they say. I see you. Revisit designation of chemicals as, quote, hazardous substances. You're going to reclassify what is hazardous substances. Got it, lady. Because, you know, streamline the process of applicable and relevant appropriate requirements based on commonalities across sites, as opposed to making such determinations on a site-by-site basis. Okay, yeah, she's really gonna try to streamline all of this. Instead of, like, taking each site for what it is on a site-by-site basis, she wants to make a set of rules that managers will follow for each site as if they were all equal. And this isn't communism? What is it then? Is it, I'm sorry, is it giving the government more power? This doesn't sound like power to the people. Y'all are for all this power to the people. My ass is taking it away. All right, so this department's name is the Office of Land and Emergency Management. She wants to take away 2 words from this name. She just wants Office of Land, which will be a shorter abbreviation. Emergency Management, not so much. She doesn't want to manage your emergencies. She wants to streamline the process. She wants to drop emergency management from the name of Office of Land and Emergency Management. That's going to protect me so well if we just ignore the problem. That's going to protect us so well. The waste management. Modify regulations to impede resource efficiency, recycling, and reuse by providing clearly that these materials are not waste. This can be done by promulgating a rule that provides an alternative pathway to hazardous waste regulation to allow the transport of material to legitimate recyclers or back to manufacturers to support recycling and reuse of material. What does that mean? We're going to reclassify what is garbage and say, nah, that's not garbage. That's not garbage at all. We can recycle that shit. So, I mean, whew, she a dirty lady. Consolidate non-core functions, communication, economics, and congressional regulations to the OLEM, the Office of Land and Emergency Management, sub-office to allow subject matter offices to refocus the execution of fieldwork. Eliminate Office of Emergency Management and reassign its functions. There it is. Move emergency management function to Homeland Security. But we just dismantled Homeland Security, bitch. What are you talking about? Did you even talk to the other authors before you wrote this? No, I bet you didn't. This is such a fucking mismatch. Emergency management, we'll just give it to Homeland Security. And the people who wrote the Homeland Security chapter are like, what? We just dismantled Homeland Security. We gave all our departments to other departments. So where is emergency management even going to go in this administration? Where? And I want to know, fuck all this other shit. Where is emergency management going to go after this? We're going to be left to dry. Like fucking Florida or fucking the Ventura fires. We're going to be left hanging with this kind of fucking language. She's just like, that's not my department. That's not my department anymore, even though it's been this department's department for a while. This lady, I can't. Just be aware, wherever your emergency management is in your government, make sure it stays there in case there's a flood, fire, or a storm. Because this lady thinks it's not her problem, even though her whole fucking department that she's writing on is about the environment. Make it make sense. My God. Budget. Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention. Oh, this is what I was waiting for. Needed reforms. Ensure that decision-making was risk-based rather than defaulting to pre-actionary hazard-based approaches like Integrated Risk Information System. What's wrong with the Integrated Risk Information System? I don't fucking know, but she seems to have a problem with it. Focus scope of chemical evaluations on pathways of exposure that are not covered by other program offices, other environmental statutes, and eliminate scope creep to ensure evaluations are not completed in a timely, or can be completed in a timely manner and consistent with statutory requirements. Again, she got you on a deadline. She wants you to hurry up. Ensure new chemical evaluations are conducted in a timely manner. Okay, that is to ensure competitiveness of U.S. manufacturers. There it is. There it is. She wants to streamline this process for U.S. manufacturers so they can get competitive about it. If they all got the same process, who's going to do it better? Who's going to do it faster? Who's going to provide more to the people? I fucking see her. She's really testing the private sector, just like the last guy. Apply real-world chemicals, asserting conditions for risk evaluations. Apply real-world use of chemicals when assessing conditions of use for risk evaluations. I'm sorry. Are we doing human testing? What the fuck is this? Apply real-world chemicals. Okay. Test the shit out before we say it's dangerous, she says. Even though I'm sure someone has died on the job because of these hazardous materials, but hey, do it again. Oh, so-and-so died on the job? I don't know. I haven't seen proof. Do it again. Oh, transition the Safer Choice program to the private sector. Wow. Shocking. Original. Groundbreaking. Right size. Revise existing policies to address requirements of the 2016 Lichtenberg Amendments to the TSCA. Develop framework of rule of risk management that approaches that will be used under the TSCA for existing. Excuse me. She's draining my gas. She's draining everything from me. From existing chemicals. Existing chemicals being inside me, because, you know, with this lady in charge, who knows gonna be in my system after this. If you bump into an American tourist out there, if you're from Europe or whatever, just be aware there's chemicals in their bodies that are probably not safe for you. So don't make out with them. Oh my God. New policies need to ensure that the other program offices will defer to the OPP for toxic issues. Rigorous testing requirements to proceed ingredients products to ensure that they will go to the market with their use not to harm human health and the environment. Assessments by other offices are redundant. I'm sorry. She's doing that thing where it's like, no, my office will be in charge of all this, and all these other offices that are in charge of managing chemicals and shit, they're redundant. They can go. Draining the swamp, fire them people, streamline it to make it easier for everybody, she says. This is what federalism is to her, is firing people. What is federalism to you, lady? Well, federalism to me is firing every motherfucker that isn't in my department and letting my department be in charge of everything. Thank you. Budget. Office of Research and Development and related science activities. Needed reforms. Notify Congress that the EPA will not conduct any ongoing planned science activity and there will be no clear current congressional authorization. This priority will be underscored by the president's first budget request. Notify Congress that we're not going to conduct any science. She said, we ain't conducting no science. Advanced sciences? Ha! How about no sciences? Woo! Not Congress, not the president. No one's going to make us do science. I don't want to do science, she says. Y'all need Christ and Bill Nye the Science Guy, I fucking swear. Pause or review all contracts above $100,000 with heavy focus on major external peer reviews and regulatory models. Call for the public to identify these areas as consistently addressed risk, failed to use the best science, participated in research misconduct. Oh, you're going to call research misconduct now? Oh, goodness. Heaven forbid I look into what we're doing, lady. Eliminate use for unauthorized regulatory inputs, social cost of carbon, black box models, and unrealistic climate scenarios, including those based in the representative concentration pathway. Again, we deregulating stuff. We don't need science. We just need my managers and lists of paper. And this is such a fucking clever way to be, again, to avoid accountability and avoid responsibility when you're like, oh, me, I'm just a manager here. I'm not no scientist or nothing. I'm just following the rules. Oh, la, 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 la. Do I need to say who else was just following rules? No. I think some of your grandfathers fought some of those motherfuckers that were just following the rules carelessly without any science or without any facts. So, whatever, bitch. Budget, back to basics, rejection of unauthorized and expired science activities. Expired science activities. Oh boy. Needed EPA and body reforms. Membership is often too handpicked to achieve any certain political positions. The key EPA advisory committees are purged of balanced perspective and geographic diversity, important regulatory and private sector experience, state, local, and tribal expertise. Contrary to congressional directives and recommendations that the GAO, intergovernmental associations, these moves are eviscerated in historic levels of participation in key committees by state. local tribal members of 2017 and 2020 as a result of a variety of EPA regulations lack relevant scientific perspectives, increasing the risks of legal requirements regarding the role of advisory committees and scope of scientific advance and regulations. But the answer is no science. But the answer is no science. Like, at all. Like, you're just going to get managerial staff to manage your whole department. And, do away with emergency services, like, completely. All right, lady. I see you trying to make your job easier, you lazy-ass bitch. Don't be plugging your book at me when you should be busy doing your job. Don't be plugging your book at me when you should be busy doing your job instead of eliminating your job. Oh, Lord. I want to call bullshit so bad. Review EPA's environmental justice and Title VI authority. In 2023, the Supreme Court expected to provide guidance to the race-based discrimination that considers students of fair administrations versus the University of North Carolina. Okay. Your job is the environment, not civil rights. Why the fuck are you talking about civil rights? Let's see what she has to say on this shit. What does the EPA have to do about this? The Supreme Court is expected to provide guidance on the constitutionally race-based discrimination.
All right, so what's going on is that there's a lot of issues in our country that are environmental related and civil rights related, like how Atlanta's black community is living under the bridges that their communities built, and how reservations have all for nothing for resources to help the community, and several other environmental impacts that have happened due to racist legislation. She's trying to tell you that it's not her fault. It's not the EPA's fault. And oh, I think it is, honey.
So the Supreme Court has already fucked with affirmative action, and they're going to fuck with it even more with fair admissions versus the University of North Carolina. And what she is trying to say in the following paragraphs is that she wants the whole department to legally speak with one voice. And she's going through all of these departments that are under her department and trying to say what is what about all of them. However, like, she has some nerve mentioning all of this when she's supposed to be focusing on the environment, unless to her a clean environment is dead brown people, or, keeping us down so y'all white light skins and business heads and private sector motherfuckers can go on to do what you do to us. You know what I mean? So I'm not buying your book. All right, so her terrible chapter is almost done. And after reading this, I will never buy her book. If her book is like this, then I ain't buying it. I'm sorry, lady. You failed at plugging your book at me. But there's a few things I want to cover before we end this video. These deputy chief officer is reserved for a career official. The deputy chief financial officer is reserved for a career official, but political appointees may serve as associate chief financial officer, special advisor, and other senior officials, in addition to evaluating whether the deputy of chief finance and financial officer position should be reserved for other career officials. The new administration should immediately fill all those positions with the political appointees and establish a new political leadership, which means you don't want the experts in charge again. You don't even want financial experts in charge anymore, okay? You want your own cronies. Again, this is a pattern that is consistent with the rest of P2025. In conclusion, a more conservative EPA that aligns itself with policies outlined in chapter will lead to a better environmental future without unintended consequences. Like, again, the unintended consequences of having experts in charge means that you have to follow their fucking rules. Oh, boo fucking who, lady? Jesus Christ. Author's note. This chapter could not have been completed without the assessments of numerous policy experts, legal personnel, and former appointees. Special thanks to David Harlow, Justin Schwab, blah, blah, blah. This author alone assumes responsibility for this chapter, and no views are expressed herein are attributed to another individual. Good. That means when shit goes to crap, we could blame you. We blame this lady. I'm going to give you faces to all these problems. If you have a problem in your neighborhood and it's economics related, environmental related, it's like social justice related, I want you to remember these faces. I want you to remember all these fucking faces because they're responsible, and they're going to be responsible for the next 4 years or the next 100 years or hell, up until World War III. And God, World War III won't end. It won't end until somebody's head is on a plate. It better not be yours. Better not be mine. It's probably going to be theirs. So, I'll leave you with that. You guys have a great day. And remember, this isn't the time to give up. This is the time to be a loud asshole because, golly, they've been loud assholes this whole time. When we return, we will be on page 482. And we're going to drag Roger Serviano to filth. And remember, don't plug your book at me.
She a down-ass bitch.
These crab cakes are good as a mug. I fucks with these crab cakes. I'm tearing these bad boys up.
So are you even a Republican?
Hell no. You think I like going out there and saying this ridiculous shit?
So then why do it?
'Cause a bitch got books to sell, that's why. Ain't no money in trying to save the world.
Swamp bitch.
Makeup. All I know is they better not stop
2025 agenda.
or I might have to start stripping.
Don't plug your book at Don't plug your book at me.
I actually have a book coming out called Y'all Fired.
Bitch, did you just plug your book at me?